Welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Minions of the Zoo. I'm your keeper this evening, Skep Tock, and with me I have Minions Prospero.
Hello.
Jenna.
Hola.
And the Harry Channel.
Good evening.
Welcome, gentles all. I hope you're having a wonderful new year so far. And I couldn't help but leave 2022 with a sense of resentment that it had to poke us one more time and kill Barbara Walters on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't a perfect person, but, you know, dadgummit, she was a part of my life.
There's a little spate of well-known passings right at the end. It was just this whole flurry, you know, between Barbara Walters and Pope Benedict, and just, it was like, oh, good, notables just are all going to keel over. Anita Pointer died.
I'm much more concerned about one of the Pointer sisters dying than a corrupt old fucker in charge of the most corrupt institution on earth.
Well, yes.
Fairness, I'd like to state that the old fucker was suffering from the same thing we elected our president for, but was smart enough to step down.
What, smelling little girls' hair?
And being demented.
Yeah.
There's some people that believe that the deep state forced him to retire. That, you know, Twitter is in an amazing place.
Oh, they think the deep state forces the sun to come up every morning.
Honest to God, I had to. Last night I dipped onto Twitter very, very quickly, and then I got the fuck out because it was so toxic in regard to what had happened to Damar Hamlin during the Bengals-Bills game. What
happened to it?
He collapsed in cardiac arrest on the field.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they can't. They put at first they delayed the game. He is alive, Jenna. He's alive.
Probably even gonna recover. He's probably gonna recover.
It sounds like it. They have reduced his oxygen to 50%. They've rotated him onto his abdomen to take some of the stress off his lungs. Because they're probably trying to be very, very careful because, of course, they had to intubate him. And it seems, of course, last night people were like, there's no, you know, because commotio cordis is so rare that it simply could not be that. It had to be, you know, some Pfizer-driven conspiracy theory.
I think it was racism, don't you?
Yeah.
He is black.
It says T. Higgins. And T. Higgins and his family are getting death threats because trolls are going to troll. I certainly don't think any sincere Bills fan is doing anything like that because it's a rather extraordinary event to observe behaviorally how the men in the arena responded to this event. It's very early on in a deeply important game to both these teams. I can't emphasize too much how important this game was to both the Bills and the Bengals. And
plus, both teams hate each other. Let's be
well.
Real.
They don't hate each other. They don't.
They're rivals. They are rivals.
They are rivals, but they are not rivals like Pittsburgh. And since you know, it's not quite the same bitterness there, but the it was a.
They don't go fishing together. Let's put it that way.
Well, they did last night.
Yeah, it's more rivalry than Army and Navy or Cal and Stanford.
That's what I'm trying to do is help setting up the contrast that these are deeply competitive, rival-driven teams.
Yeah,
and, you know, came together and just set that aside instantly. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was, and it was. It's very hard to tell who made the first move. On the coaching staff, it kind of appears that the Bengals coach may have approached McDermott and said, "Oh, no, nobody's going back to playing."
We'll have to review the videos. And
well, the timeline being such it is, but there was a very lovely byproduct to what occurred last night. And it's just an extraordinarily nice story to start the new year, especially when everybody had the hell frightened out of them and they knew nothing last night. Nothing. For the
Am I
longest,
evil for wanting something other than the near death of a player to bring people together like this?
No, you're
No.
not. No, you're not. But one of the byproducts of this terror that occurred to people was Mr. Hamlin has a toy fund. That's part of his charitable work as an NFL player, and he had a GoFundMe for this toy fund. And his ask was $2,500. The current balance appears to be roughly $5.5 million.
Wow.
Yes, there was an enormous outpouring of donations.
Boy, those IRS extra agents will be happy to
that's
go audit that.
Well, fuck them. But how
That's ordinary income.
wonderful! How well, not for a charitable organization.
No, it's pass through if he does it right.
It should be.
Can
Well,
I just-
it is if he does it right.
This isn't in his name. I mean, the GoFundMe is not in his name. It's in the name of the toy fund drive. But $5.5 million
That's good.
off of a $2,500 ask.
Can I
Yeah.
get a theory on which coach went to whom? I think the Bills coach was focused on his player and if the player was dead or not. And the Bengals
Mm-hmm.
stepped up and won over because
According to the timeline, Zach Taylor did cross the field to speak to Sean McDermott, and that would be the Bengals coach going to speak to the Bills coach. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
doesn't.
Boy,
I'm just
one thing this guy ought to be feel lucky about, this guy who got hurt so badly, is that he wasn't taken to a VA hospital.
yes, he was very lucky. He was taken to University of Cincinnati Medical Center,
Goddamn
Or a
right.
Canadian hospital.
which is a very very fun.
In Canada, you've got it made.
Inuit clinic.
Yeah, well, he was lucky.
Here, hold this bead in your mouth.
Bait man.
That's a good hospital, and it was
Yeah, it is.
2 minutes from the stadium, and but it
Well, the
was
key was that they kept his heart oxygenated. That's the big thing, is to not get any cardiac muscle.
Well,
death.
that's what we're hoping. We don't know because they were doing CPR on the field for about 10 minutes before they.
From what I could tell,
in the
I
bus.
watched the whole thing, and it didn't look like, CPR. It basically acts like a heart and lung machine, a really inefficient heart and lung machine, or not really efficient, but somewhat inefficient heart and lung machine. And so I don't think oxygenation is going to be a problem. That's why I think he's going to get well. He's in unbelievable physical shape. These guys heal like children do.
Yes,
But they get a traumatic hit like this, and that delicate machine that is their body, some of the delicate firmware gets smashed up.
and it's very interesting how the hit occurred because the helmet did not strike his chest. The helmet struck his shoulder. It would be the shoulder, T. Higgins' shoulder, that would have struck him in the sternum, based on the still photo I've seen.
Yeah.
But this is a very peculiar thing. It's a very rare thing because the blow to the heart has to take place in a certain portion of the heart rhythm.
Yeah,
for this to occur. It can't. It just
before the AV node fires, before the AV node resets its polarity. But if you get hit with that, it won't reset, and the AV node does on fire. That's what happens.
It's a bizarre and very, very rare. It's something you're much more likely to see in baseball, where somebody can get drilled in the chest with a ball, because
this has happened from lacrosse balls I was
Yeah.
looking up the medical histories on it. It's happened from softballs, baseballs, lacrosse, hockey pucks,
Hockey
just
puck's ridiculous,
anything
yeah.
you can think.
Soccer balls.
Well, there was an elbow in a soccer game that did it once. I don't know about soccer balls.
Some girl got hit in the chest with a softball pitch
Yes.
and died right there. I mean, they didn't know what to do. She's not waking up. I don't know. Well,
One time
you
a
know, it
bird
was a different
died by
deal.
a strike.
Yeah, well, it is atypical.
I actually have seen a bird hit with a baseball, by the way.
Yeah,
anybody who played
it's-
organized baseball for years and years and years in a place like Virginia has seen a
want to
bird
talk
hit,
about that.
seen a bird hit with a baseball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see the seagull, see the shrapnel.
Yeah.
There've been some pretty grim ones. But it's such an interesting medical phenomenon. Very rare because, of course, like you said, right before the AB nodes reset their polarity. So it has to be that instant where the blow occurs.
Yeah,
And
unless the blow does traumatic injury to the heart,
Right.
Obviously, if you're
I mean,
If it's a cannonball, it doesn't really matter what the timing is.
where that
correct.
comes in is with these beanbag things. So some of these people have brittle bones, and it hits them and it basically just crushes their chest. So I mean, you can take you're pretty well protected if you're in good health. But if you're not in good health, if your bones are weak and crumbly from years of meth abuse, some of these guys get hit by beanbags and they die from that.
Yeah, it's better to hit them in the nuts.
Did they just ask to be killed?
Yes. Well, no, that guy down in Arizona, it was in one of the little setus. One of the cops nailed him right in the junk. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful because he just dropped to his knees like a man in prayer and then, fell forward with his hands clutching his junk, and then his little Antifa buddies and drag him out of the street. And
Pfizer did its pain research on pigs. Do you know how it induced the pain?
I don't want to know.
It took 2 cinder blocks.
Oh,
all male
no.
pigs. Took 2 cinder blocks and crushed their testicles, and to basically get their physiology telemetry of what happened, because pigs are so similar to humans.
Did Edison come up with this experiment?
Fauci. It sounds like something Fauci.
It sounds like a Topsy the elephant thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no puppies were euthanized, tortured during it, so it's not Fauci.
This was done, actually, I believe I can't remember if it was University of Pennsylvania or Penn State, but it was one. Oh, it was someplace in Pennsylvania, some college campus in Pennsylvania doing research for Pfizer under a Pfizer grant. They were doing that.
Crushing pig testicles. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What did you
Because
do
they
on your
can.
summer vacation? God damn it.
Yeah. Good job, intern.
Yeah, God. I think when I got to work and they said, this is what you're going to be doing, I'd be like, yeah, no. I think
Maybe
I'll just
the
go
guy was a
major in history.
pedophile.
A pigophile?
A pedophile.
Why would that be of interest to him? I actually don't think crushing pigs' testicles is high on the list of pedophiles.
Wait, I thought you were saying they were questioning men's testicles.
No, pigs.
Oh, then
All
I
of
guess-
men are pigs, if you ask some
yeah,
people. So,
yeah.
by the transitive property.
I'm sorry.
If A
slip
equals
up.
B and B equals C.
Yeah. Problematic glasses crowd does that.
Yeah.
See, I was all for the smashing of Pluto.
Smashing a Pluto?
No, Plutos.
The map smashers.
Oh, map smashing? Yeah, that's that. Well, come here, Mr. Mercator.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Minor attracted persons.
Yeah, and then she made a Mercator projection joke, which was good.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay,
Oh my gosh, have you
That's
seen
the
the
that's
flag?
the smash map. That was the smash.
Yes.
I
Yes.
finally got it.
I was trying. We're skating around the edge of something that could get the show
Yeah,
jerked off the air.
yeah. I'm really, really
So I was
happy
trying
to move away
to
from that
pivot
subject.
in my projection. I'm struggling over here.
If you get 12
It bothers me that
CPRs,
we.
you get the next one free. Ask Jenna.
What about
Yeah.
CPR? I said if you get 12, you get the next one free. It's like a baker's dozen.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I probably did. Okay.
Did you get your free one?
CPR City, come
Or
on
did
in
you,
and
or
say.
did you leave your card at home? That's okay. We'll stamp you twice next time.
I had $20 in my pocket, and my parents washed the blood off it and used it.
Damn straight.
Yeah, and I'll address this real briefly, if I may, and then move on from this topic of conversation. Mr. Scott asks, was the vaccine he was boasting about a factor? Highly unlikely based on how this happened. There's been no mention
Damn well, it's not.
that
Yeah.
it was anything to do with a blood clot. This is not how people tend to go down with blood clots anyway.
Nope.
They don't just
I try and discourage that
drop.
kind of.
That's why I was addressing it, Skep.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
that's what was going on Twitter yesterday. And by the way, I had to agree with Adam Kinzinger, which makes me nauseous to say out loud. But
That's a
Charlie
weird
Kirk
day.
was a fuck, and
How
there were-
so?
he immediately started braying about the vaccine in regard to Hamlin, and it's like, number one, have some fucking
Charlie
class.
Kirk did that? Did
Yes.
he really?
Yes,
Yep.
and just have some fucking class, people. A 24-year-old boy. I know he's a man. Drop dead on a
child.
football
Until you're
field.
26, you're
Mm.
considered a child as a man.
But you
That's
know,
when your brain's fully developed.
this young man, this premier athlete, dropped dead on a football field last night. That's what we call cardiac arrest, dropping dead. And merciful heaven, there were medical personnel there to bring him back. And you could just maybe not,
It's like he
just
wasn't
maybe
a veteran.
not, until you know how somebody is doing, get into the political game of, is this Pfizer's fault or not? And then you have all the little medical experts rustling around out there, none of whom know what the fuck they're talking about. And
But
it's
couldn't all of this have been avoided? Couldn't this tragedy for this young man and all the attendant nonsense been avoided if we simply burned Donald Trump at the stake?
Mm.
Yeah,
That's all
we
we
won't
need
get
to do.
into
I
all
talk
of
with
that.
everybody, and that's what everybody says.
Yeah.
If we
I think
just
that'll
burn
appease
Donald,
Gaia.
yes, Gaia will be appeased if Donald Trump is burned at the stake. That's the way these people
As
are.
big as he
And-
is, that carbon would be a pretty good footprint.
It's very old Testament. It's kind of like, Jehovah's mad. Somebody find a quick rock. Maybe if we hack this kid's foreskin off and throw it on the ground, he'll leave us alone.
Yeah.
Until the next bears show up.
No,
Old Testament Jehovah is hardcore.
if
Yeah,
they
you're
get
not
you-
kidding.
If they
You make fun of my
irritate
prophet?
you,
Fuck you.
you always quarter them.
I thought you were going to say when I was a kid we called him Yahweh. But anyway,
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, and I'm the troublemaker.
Aramaic.
I'm the unofficial troublemaker. You're the official troublemaker.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Here's a question. Can we talk about the
What's your question, Jenna?
can we talk about the arrest for the suspect for the Idaho 4?
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
they got him. And I'm also glad the judge issued a gag rule, which means some people are going to get upset. But
We sure this guy did it?
yeah, excuse me. That's why I'd like to see the gag order.
Mm.
Well,
well,
in
I have-
Idaho, they have a law that by the Supreme Court that they can't give information unless permitted by
In
the
what
Supreme Court.
circumstances?
What?
Information about a court case?
Before he goes in front of a judge in Idaho, He's been in front of a judge in Pennsylvania, and I
Right.
believe he was extradited today.
Yes, he was extradited. Yeah, but okay, good. I mean, I like transparency in the court system up to a point, but a lot of times it poisons the well, and everyone is entitled to a defense.
Well, exactly. That's why I said the suspect in the.
Yeah, correct.
Well, is there a change of venue for the trial?
I hope not. I mean,
No, I haven't even seen a request for a change.
Because I don't see him. I see a challenge coming for this if there's not a change of venue.
Well, there have been a fair number of high-profile cases that they don't get changes of venue.
There's also 3 states involved.
Yeah, but it's the size of the communities involved and the type of crime.
They could conceivably haul it across state to Pocatello or something, but
he was going to school in Washington, which was only 8 miles from Moscow, and then he and his daddy went on a little field trip.
Yeah, but I mean, the crimes occurred.
What, to look for the real killer? What?
The crimes occurred in Idaho.
No, to drive his car, which was the car the police was looking for, back to Pennsylvania. But he went back to class like the next Monday, and
he actually taught a class.
Yeah, he was
taught
a
class.
TA.
He was a TA. Taught a core section.
Please tell me he wasn't a math TA.
No, he was criminology. Criminology.
Yeah, because Ted Kaczynski died recently, and I don't think the math community can take too many more Ted Kaczynskis.
This guy is not a Ted Kaczynski. He's more like think of some corrupt cop who snapped and killed somebody. He's that guy, but he just got to it early, and went all BTK. Went on a BTK kind of fantasy, and in fact, he says he was taught by BTK. So
his psychopathy bloomed early.
I saw something where they were Do you think it was his first kill?
No, not even close. Not even close. It's probably not even his 10th.
I'm annoyed they keep showing video of this guy. They're giving him way too much exposure, and I don't want to see copycats.
That's the thing that drives me crazy. Every time we have some kind of high-profile case like this, or we get a discharge of weapon in certain places where small people gather, I don't even want to say the phrase. You end up with a bunch of people going, "Ooh, look how you get on all famous on TV." And I would be curious to see if you could get a more cooperative lockdown blackout on some of this stuff, whether it would have any impact. Because you almost see some bullshit copycat of a sort. It's not always the same at all, but it's some kid who then decides to go to a rave and shoot people, or go somewhere else and do something like that, hot on the heels of a preceding event. It's just they're not related, because otherwise you'd be like, this is just nothing but retaliatory gang behavior. But it's like you get spates of them. Somebody snaps, goes to work and does something, and then you get some other fucker 2 days later who does the same shit. Because it's on blast on social media.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the fault of social media. It's not the fault of anybody that comments on it. It's the fault of the individual that commits the crime. But there does seem to be, somehow or another, it seems that we're incentivizing it. I may be dead wrong.
How so? How are you figuring that works?
Pathetic.
I'm not disagreeing. I just want to know more.
I think it's just pathetic people who live in the basements of their own minds. See someone get attention, even the worst kind of attention, the negative, and think, I could do that. Because you're already dealing with broken people who are surprisingly frequently already on the radar of people who are supposed to interdict broken people, like the New Year's Eve dude at times, in New York.
What happened New Year's Eve?
Machete attack on some cops.
Are they okay?
Mm-hmm. Fortunately.
I
No,
assume the victim, the perpetrator, suicided himself effectively. No?
No, they had him. They haven't. I was under the impression that they had him in custody. He was shot by a cop when he first started attacking, I think.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, apparently not permanently shot, but you know how that works. But apparently new little jihadi. Probably, I don't know if he's a ginger or not. He had a very, very kind of like Tyler Bickford kind of name. So, you know what I'm saying? He might be some earnest little ginger from Milwaukee. I don't know. But he heard the call.
With his wispy ginger beard.
Yeah,
One thing
I don't know, but you know, he was on their radar. They've been watching his social media posts.
One thing I'll give us credit for is none of us have said his name.
Well, yeah, I don't know his name, which is fine. I don't want to know his name. He's just another piece of shit statistic, in my opinion. I'm just glad he didn't kill anybody.
Well, you know, there was one of these
the guy from Idaho.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna say his name either. Yeah. Fuck him.
I think I've heard somebody say his name, but I may be mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking
all over Twitter, sweetie.
Well, the people you're talking about, there was this case in the UK just a few years ago where some guy went on a rampage. I think it was on London Bridge.
Yes.
And these three guys actually stopped him, and one of the people who stopped him went into a nearby like bar grill pub thing, grabbed a narwhal that was mounted to the wall, and went and attacked the guy with the dead narwhal.
I just love that story.
A narwhal tusk and a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Because when they ran out of the stuff to spray on him, apparently the guy clubbed the shit out of him with it.
Here, have some narwhal.
Guy wouldn't give me that.
Yeah. Run into a pub, grab a narwhal tusk, and run out on a bridge and take down a jihadi.
I've got to go kick some sea lion ass.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Leave the sea lions
alone. But we won't leave Sea Org alone. I understand Miscavige got picked up.
What? Miscavige got arrested? Really?
I thought they had found him at some party.
Scientology leader can't be found. Okay, that was 5 days ago. Then, let's see. 4 days ago, could not be found. And then, of course, Scientology comes out. You know, David Miscavige's wife is not missing.
Okay, they found her, but they haven't found him.
Is she resting?
Yes, I'm sure she's resting.
She's resting.
She's tied up right now.
She's pining for the fjords.
She's pining for the. She's tied up right now. She can't. She's very busy.
Couldn't happen to a nicer cult.
Oh God! You know, I got friendly with David Miscavige's father, and I mean, in his dedication, when he signed his book to me, he signed it love. I mean, he's just a sweet old guy, just the sweetest guy in the world. His heart is broken by that bratty kid of his that, you know, hey, yeah, this ought to work. That's the ticket. You know, this little shithead has seized the reins of something that is this big, horrifying, cancerous agglomeration of mutated cells that is Scientology. Oh God, I just feel so bad for that. For his father, and I feel bad for David Miscavige too, because he's a lost soul too. that
Well,
whole that's just a mess.
I swear though, don't you think Leah Remini is sick of repeating herself?
Well, I don't think Lee Remini has been through the drill, but I don't think she's exactly tired of hearing her own voice now.
Maybe not, but I think, it's like, how often do you have to repeat it? I guess Nicole Kidman gets up every morning and kisses the ground and goes, "This is pretty awesome here in Tennessee."
Yeah, no kidding.
Out from under that bullshit.
Yep.
And Mimi Rogers could have just given her the info like a heads up, like
Yeah, you don't want to. Really.
Listen, don't get your hopes up for the big reveal, because here's what it is. I mean, can I have my money back?
Well, the girl he married after Nicole,
Katie Holmes,
what she had to go through to get away from him.
It was very well executed.
With his 5-year-old, with her 5-year-old daughter.
If Katie Holmes' helped her, lawyer dad would help the Republicans come up with a strategy, they might actually gain some seats in 2024.
Yeah, because he knows how to stage a rescue.
He sure does.
But I mean, how we were always taught to be tolerant and patient and that kind of stuff. But look, L. Ron Hubbard was a piece of shit, and L. Ron Hubbard started a cult because he could wring money out of people, and it's a self-perpetuating nightmare of a shit show now. And it's like, look, I'm sorry that John Travolta is stupid enough to fall for it. I don't give one shit about Tom Cruise. God, he's such an obnoxious asshole.
He's a complete narcissistic monomaniac. That's monomania.
He can drive a car well.
Yeah. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen is the other monomaniac who modern monomaniac I can think of. Kind of runs the same program in his head. Hey, I'm awesome. I have a lot of money. I don't have to worry about things. People tell me I'm great, so fuck everything else. And when you get in that, you may not realize that you're in the bottom of a well.
Yeah,
that's a trap.
Cruise is just ugh.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Ugh.
He's funny sometimes.
Yeah, he is, and he can drive the hell out of a car. But
in a motorcycle.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking Ted Cruz.
But Ted Cruz is funny too. Ted Cruz
is actually a brilliant guy.
Yeah,
he's a brilliant man, but he's fucked up. But
I don't think Tom Cruise is stupid. I don't think intelligence is the issue here.
No,
it's emotional need.
Emotional need to be worshipped.
Well, emotional need more complicated than that. Why does anybody get attracted to a cult? What are the things that are missing from their life?
They stroke you. They fill in those things, and they know what you're missing. They know what you come from, and know just how to talk to you.
Well, yeah, they have somebody who will get close to them, and they will reveal their deepest fears, and and it's what it is it's a system of betrayal, and the person
that's true
doesn't.
They betray themselves. They skip that whole thing in Scientology, because the first thing they do is give you a battery of tests, which is basically a psychological workup.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't need anybody to turn the information over. They make you basically narc on yourself.
Yep.
Have you ever been audited? Have you ever gone to a Scientology center and been audited? Because I've done this. I have actually done this. Went to it. They give you this, basically it's a tin can to hold in each hand, and it's attached to an e-meter, they call it. It's supposed to
effectively a galvanometer.
It exactly. I was preparing a joke and using.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I killed it.
Anyway,
that's okay.
That's all right, joke killer. Anyway, and they hit you with a bunch of mumbo jumbo and so forth. And so, but what I found with the e-meter was that by manipulating it very subtly in my hands, I could make it do things. And so I was starting to make the needle go up and down. And then I started making it go up but to Jingle Bells. And I was singing Jingle Bells while this guy was talking to me and making the needle go Jingle Bells, ding, 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 ding.
I think you failed your test.
He felt like I wasn't taking it seriously enough to be considered for the fee-based part, so I flunked the free part.
Yeah, well, they needed to use the third can to get an accurate measurement with you, Skep.
The suppository.
Exactly.
Right now, I'm on an argument with someone on YouTube about the fact that we don't worship Joseph Smith.
Okay.
Who does?
I don't know. For some reason,
he needs somebody to worship him.
For some reason, this guy thinks that our entire church is around Joseph Smith, and
he was just there for a little while.
We worship him. We don't worship him. We worship Jesus and Heavenly Father.
Not like certain other religions where the founder declares themselves to be the culmination in religious development.
Well,
that Jesus guy, he was pretty awesome. But me, no, I'm the bee's knees. I don't know which religion I'm thinking of. Probably none of them.
Well,
all of them.
When Joseph Smith and his brother Hiram were killed,
they were leading a group of people at the time.
Yeah, they were leading a group, but they were being held prisoner.
They were leading them out of the jail.
What?
In Carthage. They were leading them out of the jail in Carthage. What, didn't he jump out of the second story window?
Let me explain that.
Okay.
So the mob was trying to get into where they were, and there were 4 people inside the room, Joseph and Hiram Smith, and then 2 other high leaders. And the 4 of them were trying to hold the mob out, and Hiram got shot through the head. So Joseph saw the other 2 men in the room and jumped through the window so they would leave them to at least live, because he knew his brother was dead.
Okay. So that's why the 3 of them jumped out the window. Joseph Smith got killed. They shot him, didn't they?
Yes, he was killed about 10 minutes after his brother. And don't get me wrong, it's sad and tragic to be killed that way. And Joseph Smith is a prophet in our church, but it doesn't go, your level doesn't go Jesus, Heavenly Father, prophet. It's the other way around. Also, he had 2 children named Joseph. One was adopted after they had already had their Joseph.
That wasn't that uncommon back then. You could have 2 boys with the same name, particularly if they were not the first son. When neither was the first son.
The first son was named Albert after his brother who died.
Yeah.
But they had trouble. He and Emma had trouble staying pregnant. So they actually only had, I think it was 3 biological children that lived to adulthood. But when little Joseph was about 5, these parents to these 2 little kids were killed And the boy was named Joseph, so they had 2 Joes. Both 3 if you count the father.
Oh, you know what? I have always had a not trivia, but I mean a question that I wanted to ask you.
Shoot.
Ask somebody who is knowledgeable about Mormonism much more than I am. Moroni is the son of Mormon, right?
Do you mean Moroni?
Yeah, Moroni
No.
is the son of Mormon, or is the Nephite prophet. Correct or no? If it's not, that's fine. I might have got it wrong.
Moroni is the angel that came to Joseph when he was 14, like 16 billion times when he was 14, and
Right.
said, you will find these plates but you can't touch them until blah, blah, blah.
Well, who was Mormon?
The guy that wrote the part about the Book of Mormon?
Let's see. Mormon. The Book of Mormon prophet. This was a guy. He's believed by members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to be a prophet, historian, and a member of a tribe of indigenous Americans known as the Nephites, one of the 4 groups, including the Lamanites, Jaredites, and Mulekites, described the Book of Mormon as having settled in the ancient Americas. According to the Book of Mormon, the prophet Mormon engraved an abridgment of his people's history on golden plates. Based on the chronology described in the Book of Mormon, lived during the 4th century A.D.
Yes.
As narrator in the text, Mormon presents himself as a redactor. He quotes blah 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 yada blah 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 blah. So what is his relationship to Moroni? That's never been clear to me.
So,
and it's okay if you don't know, because I mean,
well, no,
I've tried to study this stuff and I don't know.
I was confused because I was thinking of today's time. Well, Joseph Smith's time.
That's okay. What is the relationship?
Moroni, I'm not sure, honestly.
No, that's okay.
I know that the Nephites left their story and Mormon wrote them, but I don't.
Okay, let's see. Upon returning, Mormon again led them in battle against the Lamanites until the entire destruction of the Nephite nation, which took place as a result of a huge battle fought between the 2 groups in 385. The prophet Moroni, Mormon's son, to whom he delivered the golden plates. Yeah, right. The prophet Moroni, who was Mormon's son, to whom he delivered the golden plates, records that Mormon was killed by the Lamanites, presumably in AD 385 or shortly thereafter. As the last prophet and keeper of the record, Moroni is said to have become the angel or messenger who revealed the location of the golden plates to Joseph Smith in 1823.
Yes, before when Joseph.
So is Moroni Mormon's son?
It seems to
say that. It seems to say that, but I would love to hear that from somebody, who's inside the Mormon church. That you're kind of my authority on this.
Because Moroni needed to be dead to do what.
It's Mormon who got killed. Moroni was not killed.
But Moroni died before Joseph Smith was alive.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because Moroni came to him in his, like my heavenly robe.
In his angelic form.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And directed to him to where the books were and then told him he couldn't touch them until he was older. Which is pretty mean to do to a 14-year-old kid.
Yep.
Also, a piece of the Book of Mormon is lost. Actually, I think it's Doctrine and Covenants, because he was told no one is allowed to take the plates.
Mm-hmm.
And the man he was working with was like, I promise I'll bring them right back. I want to show my wife, blah, blah, blah. And he took them, and now they're lost.
Uh-oh.
That's what you get for not listening to the big boss.
I guess so.
Sounds a little Aaron-esque.
Still like History of the World with Mel Brooks.
Mhm.
The 3
Oi!
tablets. I bring you these 15 commandments, and then he drops one and it breaks. 10 commandments.
Oi!
10 commandments.
10 commandments, yeah.
Well, you know what the 11th commandment was?
Don't get caught. Thou shalt not get caught.
Thou should have brought a GPS.
Yeah. That's the old joke about which stretches further, skin or rubber. Skin, because Moses tied his ass to a tree and walked for 40 years.
Meanwhile, Aaron, who couldn't speak because of his speech impediment,
That
was
hurt.
left in charge.
Yeah, and then began worshiping golden idols and then stupidly tried to touch the covenant. Oops.
You know, I like veal as much as anybody, but worshiping a golden calf, that's just weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it
Depends on
was.
which name it's attached to.
It's
The Idaho Killer,
I've had some veal parmesan that
vegan.
that you would have worshipped too.
Marsala is how you get to my heart.
Yeah, actually, I like marsala better myself.
Yeah, I mean, I love veal parmesan,
Yeah.
but man, a really good marsala.
Yeah.
Oh boy, there was
Veal parmesan was ruined by the cafeterias of Springfield, Virginia for me.
yeah, really.
Yeah,
they made it there.
Yeah, they had this breaded thing, this breaded mystery meat with
that
cheese.
they called veal.
Cheese-like substance in the middle.
Ah,
that was your veal parmesan pre-frozen patty.
Dude, I know what those patties are because
you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Well, not only do I know what you're talking about, during my stint in the food service industry or in the hospitality biz, back when I was doing consulting and stuff, at some restaurants I would actually run into those things. People would be eating them on like the meal plan, or I'd see them inside a walk-in refrigerator, and they just come in these boxes, and they're these sad felted veal patties that are then breaded and kept frozen for like forever. And then they basically put some whirl or something on the flat top and then just throw that bad boy on there frozen, and it's so thin that you could basically cook it from frozen to golden brown and delicious.
And it won't burn. Yeah.
And it won't burn. And because you're using whirl or some other butter substitute, it's got a smoke point of about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, I know about the
better living
the
through
veal,
petroleum.
Yeah, the veal parmesan that you're talking about.
Hey man, though, you can cover a multitude of sins with tomato sauce and mozzarella.
I have a real question. Is it a baby cow or is it a aborted baby cow?
It's a baby
cow.
It's not an aborted baby cow.
So it's been born.
Yeah.
It's a calf. Yes.
It comes out, it sees its mom, it skips around and is happy and stuff, and then
gets fattened
abattoir.
up. Gets fattened up, and then it gets to the abattoir.
Well, I don't know if they fatten them too much, but yeah, they do the veal pen thing. The main reason for this, Jenna, is a long time ago, you would raise cattle, right? And you didn't know how many of them were going to live. So you would want extras. And you didn't have enough food or pasture or whatever
to feed them when they were full size.
feed all of them. So any that are extra would be killed in the spring and eaten as veal. And then later they would mature and get bulked up and become beef. So people think it's like this cruel thing, like, oh, what are they doing? They're killing baby cow. No, it's something they had to do because people used to struggle to feed themselves, and veal was just, that's standard operating procedure. You take the extra cows that you don't have enough pasture for or won't have a need for later, and you eat them.
Ditto
That's all
lamb.
veal
But
is.
except that everything that Harry just said is completely wrong. Well, the way it really happened was the colonial white people decided that they wanted to torture little baby, pretty-faced little calves. These evil fat Republicans wanted to torture these things and brand them with little Trump "Make America Great Again"
hair's blue.
Then why was it only the male cows that they killed to make veal?
Exactly.
Riddle me that. Because the females could be used to make milk. That's why.
Because the hatred of the father is buried in the penis. That's why.
Also, the females can be made to can be used to breed new, and that's how they upgraded their herd. Was they looked for the good-looking females, and they kept those.
Misogynists.
Yeah.
You know, the cattle business is very big in Texas. It's a fascinating business. It's hard to learn a lot about it. Other than out of books, unless you see it done in front of you. Yeah, be a part of it somehow.
I was just curious because for years my uncles on my dad's side told me how they got the baby cow.
Oh,
so I wouldn't eat veal.
Ah.
They put the pregnant cow in a centrifuge. They put its head top, and then they point the birthing canal at the back. Then it spins the cow out into the slicing machine, and then breaded and into the
throw
freezer.
enough.
No,
throw
my
enough
uncle
calves
was
against the
crazy
wall.
about this because they didn't want any of the nieces, nephews, grandkids to eat the veal parmesan.
Oh, we got that.
Yeah, they wanted it all for themselves.
They were bastards.
Yes, they were.
I usually don't buy veal. I'll usually just use a mixture of pork and beef rather than buying veal when I'm making something that usually calls for veal.
No,
but
I don't like veal enough. Truthfully, and I'm a beef person.
Once
First,
in a
last,
blue
and
moon,
always.
I have to have marsala just once in a blue moon. It's a little bit like liver, where all of a sudden I'll be like must have, but it's not. It's rare, and if you can find places that do good chicken parm.
I was going to say chicken marsala is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it is.
Stuff, in my opinion.
So is chicken francese, and so is chicken piccata.
You could make Corinthian leather marsala, and it would taste okay. Seriously, so you don't need.
Seriously, yeah, just use shiitake mushrooms and skip the meat.
No.
Yeah, or portobello's, something that'll just soak that bitch right on up.
I have for tomorrow night's dinner. We're having clam linguine made from scratch.
Yum.
You should make it from clams.
Do you do it in red sauce or white?
White sauce.
How do you get the clams to work with the pasta? I mean, they don't have hands.
Well,
what's their motivation?
I had to give in and buy flash frozen clams because, well, they didn't have a lot of clams.
What if we sent you a bunch of migrants and gave them the pitchforks with the little measuring thing, make sure the clams are big enough, and we just turned them loose on the beaches?
Oh no, then I would expect quahogs.
I've actually dug for clams, which is probably not something most Californians have done.
No.
Did you make your favorite
people from southern Alabama have dug for clams.
I've also caught crayfish.
Have you ever baited for blue crab?
No.
Oh God, that's kind of fun. You basically go and buy a chicken at the supermarket and just cut it into fragments and put the fragments on these giant hooks, that not giant hooks, but they're about the size of your hand, and you tie that to a clothesline, and you just throw it just barely in the water. There, we used to do this at Rehoboth Beach all the time, and draw it up, and just the act of drawing the chicken along you'll see like 2 or 3 crabs come out of the water and attack that chicken, and it's just put them in the bucket. Just put them in the bucket, and we have big old crab boil, and that's what we would have, is crab boil and corn on the cob. Great stuff.
I'm pretty sure that Tate guy's used that as a metaphor before.
I'm sure. Well, one interesting guy. He doesn't have any problems being arrested in Romania for child kidnapping and child rape.
Yeah, or gun possession, which they found a bunch of guns there, which in Romania
That
is
should
a
be
big
fine.
no-no.
I'm sure that would be
Romania
fine.
No, in Romania, that's a big no-no.
Oh, he's being set up by the deep state, don't you know?
Oh, probably.
I am so sick of hearing about it's a setup.
No, what happens is they did too much of it, and now that's all everybody sees. You know,
Like the Nexium case is pretty interesting. I'm not saying that I believe everything that people are saying, just that there's enough smoke there that some of their things they've said in their defense are kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Nexium case? Is that the Elizabeth Smart thing? Or
no, that's the what's her name? Old German actress from Smallville, Allison Mack.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The one that was the dame or whatever, and had
madam,
the madam and
tattoo.
Well, that's what the government claims in their case. The interesting thing is that some of the CP that they supposedly found on his computer, the metadata, when you look at it forensically, is extremely suspicious. It's kind of like they decided they needed some insurance to make sure he went away. That's the claim. I haven't looked at the metadata personally, so I couldn't tell you.
Given what they've done elsewhere, that's why it's a setup gets legs.
Yep.
Because they are doing that to people. And so there becomes this assumption that in all cases that's what they're doing. That's illogical, but you know, people fret about lack of trust in institutions. Well, they've bought and paid for that lack of trust.
Well, clearly, if we look at the response to some of the stuff about the declassified information about the Kennedy assassination and the lack of response from people, I think at this point, if aliens basically landed on the White House lawn and it was covered live on CNN, people would be like, yeah, we knew that. Yeah, we knew that all along. It's not a surprise. They just can't cover it up anymore. People would almost not care.
Yes, you're not wrong. And I mean, and the lack of trust in institutions is reaching the point where people are, it's a little bit like being on the frontiers of Rome when the Huns were showing up. When you actually decided that the devil you didn't know was potentially far better than the devil you knew.
I think it's one of those cases where if you talk to really dumb people, they go, yep, there's aliens. My cousin got probed by one. And then if you talk to really smart people, they say, well, of course, you look at the equations, there has to be life somewhere else. It's just all the people sort of in the middle that aren't too sure.
Yeah.
All the people on the left and right side of the IQ bell curve have pretty much already figured out that aliens are real.
Yeah.
But it's just the people in the middle that are kind of confused about it.
Yeah, well,
as I'm saying to myself, aliens will not enter my bedroom. Aliens will not attack my house.
They have no reason to.
Far away. I don't have to worry about aliens.
If they'd like to come collect some of their bastards that they have running around in Washington, I wouldn't mind. But
well, my last
they'll just drop off some kids for Jenna to take care of.
That's what we actually need is an alien invasion of anti-pedos. Half the power structures of the world get Thanos like that.
Are we allowed to talk about whether or not pedos are allowed to should be charged with the death penalty?
Nah, we're not going to talk about pedos. I think we pretty much have made it clear over time where we stand on that.
Just say no.
Mm-hmm. Just say in the wood chipper.
Well,
I just,
I was making it a fifth one instead of a quarter-in.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need. Oops, it's a sixth-in.
You know what's interesting about this whole McCarthy thing?
What's that?
It's
Joseph or Andrew?
Kevin.
Kevin. Oh, Kevin. See, this is why I can't do first names. Shemp.
Eugene?
Go on.
Eugene. What?
No, stop. Don't.
He's one of yours, Harry.
Is he the guy with the puppet?
Oh, anyhow, what I find interesting about it is, we have discussed this lack of trust in institutions. And now you have people actually occupying the institutions who are suffering from a lack of trust in the institutions.
Very meta, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you have some of these Freedom Caucus types that, and I'm not chucking them under the bus by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't trust Kevin McCarthy as far as I could throw him. I do wonder if maybe tying him up with the work of the speaker might not be what he deserves. Because the rules changes issue, they make it abundantly clear that if he doesn't pay attention to the Freedom Caucus and these people who have very active constituents, he'll be out on his ass. And it won't require the amount of machination that it did to get rid of Boehner.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got some fractious people. Jim Jordan doesn't want the job. I don't blame him. I think he wants to do the work of his committee. I mean, I think that's what he's much more focused on and why he does not want speakership. Because speakership would kind of take him out of the position of the bomb-throwing lawyer that he is.
On the other hand,
he's a good cross-examiner. He's good at it. I'm sorry, Jenna?
He'd be able to drink whenever he wants and play with his false teeth.
Who would?
Jim
Jordan?
If he became speaker. Are we not supposed to copy what Nancy Pelosi has done?
Oh, yeah, true.
Does Nancy Pelosi have false teeth?
It sounds like it when she speaks sometimes. She sounds a little polygrippish. With her kind of money, unless she had a real bone problem, she would have had implants, though, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Mm-hmm.
My wife just got $23,000 worth of implants. Let me tell you something.
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Did I?
She
tell the
just
difference?
got them. Yeah. She likes them pretty well.
So she would recommend it to somebody thinking about it?
No, in fact, she said I would never do it again. It's just too much pain.
Well, there's this surgery that supposedly will fix my sinus problems, but I would need to get it over and over again. It'd be just 2 weeks of misery every time I did it, or 3 weeks, and it's like, what's the point if it's not going to fix the problem?
Is it a Roto-Rooter type of deal?
Yeah, Doctor's like, yeah, we'll go clean out all the scar tissue. You'll be fine, and it'll all just come back.
Right, and when it heals from the surgery, probably going to go up there and do a bunch of ablation. When it does that and it heals, what's it going to heal with, Harry?
Scar
It's going to heal with scar tissue, isn't it? And it'll be a mix of scar tissue and regular healthy tissue, as it always is, and it'll be 60% functional as tissue, and it every time you do that, it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Just drink,
should not be
spray some aloe vera. Just spray some aloe vera gel up your nose. I mean, sure, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
it'll feel like a ritual.
Yeah. You mentioned that the zoo does not endorse putting aloe vera up your nose.
So I had
do that.
I had a friend of mine. I know. I give lots of bad advice. I have a friend of mine. He's the same guy who's, when his parents were off doing missionary work in South America, that he took the wheels off his car, put them on his parents' car because it had more horsepower, and then crashed his parents' car, driving like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun when you come back and go to the junkyard where your car is and go, hey, wait a second, those aren't my tires. It kind of really takes the I didn't do it on purpose excuse out of the way. But they kept getting involved in various kinds of multi-level marketing to make more money so they could do more missionary work. So so they sold, at one point, they sold AMSOIL, which is that, it's perfectly good oil. It's just not much better than any other than Mobil 1, for instance. But an AMSOIL salesman will tell you that it's better than Mobil 1, that it's the best thing ever. And if you don't put it in your car, you're a savage, right? But they would sell that. Was it Neutralife? What's that thing called?
Neutralife.
Yeah. Is it Neutralife?
Yeah, that was the scam.
They were peddling aloe vera gel at one point. And so they had their whole garage full of all this aloe vera crap that they had bought. And so they were advocating, don't just rub it on wounds and use it topically. Here's the juice from the aloe vera. You can just drink it, and it comes in gallon jugs. Oh. And the number of things that supposedly drinking aloe vera juice raw could do for you was astonishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Muscular dystrophy, missing an arm.
Yep.
No problem.
Autism, just use the other end. It's fine.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Aloe vera. Yeah, I got exposed to a lot of weird stuff
aloe
when I was a
vera
kid.
two-step.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound appealing to me.
No.
Oh, yuck. Aloe vera is great for sunburn.
It is.
Oh, you're going to be happy to know that AMSOIL synthetic motor oil withstands extreme heat and shearing forces, and in fact, it fights viscosity breakdown 46% better than Mobil 1. No footnote, no statistics backing that up, but I have their assurance.
4 out of 5 dentists do agree.
Yeah, it was on the internet. Exactly, 4 out of 5 dentists agree. It fights viscosity breakdown 46% better than Mobil 1. This is crap.
There are differences in motor oils, but they are best explained to you by somebody who works at, someplace like AutoZone, where they spent plenty of time.
One of the big box stores are now selling blinker fluid.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
For all those stupid women.
Well, it's right next to the travel sports hiking section where the snipe hunting tools are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the next to the smoke changers. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Left-handed smoke changers. It's down there. Go. It's in one of the other storerooms. Go up forward and look for it.
Smoke changers.
Left-handed smoke changers. The new guys aboard, especially mess cooks, get told to go look for the smoke changers. You're sure to get a left-handed one. Make sure the crank's on the left-hand side.
Do they get a Do they get points when they stop and go, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
It's almost an IQ test. I swear. I've seen that. I've seen this done. Probably 7 or 8 times. And you see, you see the guys who just instantly go, "Yeah, what the fuck," And
Yeah. No.
they know it's just a little bit of fun. But some of those guys, it's the earnest ones that always got me. Yes, sir. We'll go. We'll find it.
I have a present for you guys. Since I blame Prospero because she mentioned this, so I'm putting a link in the chat for a channel called Project Farm, and this guy does some great reviews of all sorts of different things, like should you buy the cheap socket wrench or the expensive socket wrench? Which motor oils work best, and he puts together like on his bench at his farm tests that do all sorts of fancy things, but in very practical ways that make sense to people. So he'll heat motor oil and then measure it on a scale, and he's not subsidized by anybody.
If you want to see if those Bosch Icon wiper blades are really as good, do that. And they test AMSOIL.
Yep.
Motor oil, by the way. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Harry.
Sure. And Seafoam makes excellent automotive products, but maybe not all of them. That's why people like that are useful. But it is interesting, to me at least. He'll do things like test how sharp a box cutter is, and then see, like he did a review of replacement blades for box cutters one time and showed which ones were the best ones and the best value.
Oh, excellent! You know who is going to absolutely love this? Cree.
Yeah.
Really going to love it.
Yeah, it's a great channel.
Cheap blenders better.
Yep.
A Vitamix versus a Ninja. The main reason I got the Vitamix, I had a coupon. Oh, God damn it. You know what?
Coupon?
The one time I don't think Ron White immediately when I say the word coupon, and then you say coupon.
Yeah, coupon.
I love that bit.
Let's let Poot do it.
Or if you're in East Texas, a coupon.
Are you familiar with what we're talking about, Skep?
No, I don't. Who are you
we're
talking
going
about?
Ron
to
White,
fix that.
Ron White, the stand-up comedian.
We're going to fix
from
that.
Blue Collar. He used to tour with Foxworthy and Engvald. He's the real foul-mouthed one. They call me Tater Salad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I know that.
The thing about the coupons, I have a coupon, or if you're from East Texas, a coupon.
Here. I'll put it out there for everybody.
Thank you.
There you go.
Great fun.
Yeah. I like the blue collar comedy guys.
Yes, they were extremely good live.
I still don't want to see Jeff Foxworthy host the American version of the Great British Bake Off. Seriously, screw that.
No, that's a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea.
I mean, if you were doing it in a bar, maybe.
A barn?
A bar.
Bar. B-A-R.
Probably. Oh God, what did I see? Blake Shelton's doing some show that is like some ridiculous nonsense, like playing shuffleboard with kegs or some crap. Like it's kind of like all of the other reindeer playing the redneck games.
Did you ever see the wine show with Shatner?
No. And I don't. Don't go looking that up. There are things that I don't need to see.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad. It's just funny because he's just Shatner.
Yeah. But oh dear heaven. It's just it tickles me.
Someone gave William Shatner a wine show.
Yeah, it's called William Shatner's Brown Bag Wine Tasting. It was on Aura TV.
In the charmingly titled Brown Bag Wine Tasting, Shatner invites guests to chat and blind taste wines from a brown paper bag. Nice. In an extremely odd... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was just like, yay, good touch. The brown paper bag.
Final Frontier.
Good times.
Yeah. Well, I detect we're kind of
Well,
running down.
They gave James May a damn wine show.
Who's
Harry.
James May?
Okay, wait.
I know
wait
he
a
was with
second.
Oz. He was with Oz, so it makes it all right. I understand.
It was 3 wine shows. Well, 3 different shows.
Yeah,
There was the one where they drove around France, which was great.
Yeah.
Then there was the one where they drove around America or California,
Cali.
which was great.
Yes, it was.
And then there was Oz and James Drink to Britain, which was also great, which
Yes.
included things other than just wine.
Well, those two schmealies bombing around in a caravan actually was extremely funny. But James May, Jenna was Top Gear, BBC.
Oh,
Well, my favorite wine on the entire planet is one that I actually learned about from the second series they did in California.
Not the Viognier, was it?
The Viognier from the Fess Parker one. No. It's actually
Was that
it's
Fess
actually
Parker?
it's the Sean Thackeray Orion is the best wine I've ever had. I've had a fair amount.
What kind of wine is it? What variety?
Skep, he uses old techniques, some of them dating back to Rome. It's a mixture of different red wine grapes, many of which UC Davis isn't quite sure what they are.
Wow.
He takes old vine and old technique to a whole new level. It's the most complex, interesting mouthful of grapes you'll ever hope to consume.
Interesting.
It's an amazing wine, and I don't talk about wine like this usually. This is
what's the name?
This is my favorite.
What's
Orion.
the name of the wine? Orion.
Sean
wine?
Thackeray. Sean Thackeray is the winemaker, and it's Orion. He was an astronomer originally by trade, and so all of his wines are named after astronomy things.
Like the Pleiades old vines.
Pleiades Pleiades is really good. Lyra is his Viognier, which weirdly tastes a lot like pineapple. It's amazing. It's it's so uncharacteristic. Like if you were talking about a dog in a dog show, all the AKC people would be going, "That is not the breed standard," but it's still a good dog.
He makes
and
a
that
Cabernet.
wine can hunt.
He makes a Cabernet Franc.
Yes.
Wow.
does he have a Cassiopeia?
He does. I don't think he's
That
made
was
it
what my
in the
mother
last
was gonna
decade.
name me.
She wanted to name you Cassiopeia.
Yes.
But Pleiades is probably, if you can shop around, at least you used to be able to get it for a little over $20 a bottle if you buy it by the case. And that's a good wine to buy by the case because of the way he makes it. It matures a lot faster. So you buy it, and then 6 to 8 months later, you can start drinking it. And it's a good sort of invite people over, have wine with dinner type of thing.
Vivino has it listed at $17.99.
You should get some.
So, Harry, you're
Wow.
serving fancy wine at your dinner party, but say you invite a Mormon.
Okay.
What do I get?
Well, do you want wine?
No.
Then you don't get wine.
Yes, but do I get a drink as...
Do you get a consolation prize because you turned down the wine? No.
Well, I don't drink.
Okay, you get water.
The Pleiades
Drink.
white.
I'll just bring... Oh! Okay. So...
It's like if one of your kids didn't like what you were serving for dinner and they said, make me something else, what would your response be?
Well, if it was for religious reasons, it'd be different.
Yeah. Honestly,
But-
I'd probably just say the kitchen's over there, or go grab whatever looks interesting, and you'd find something.
Okay, so I was somewhere, some doctor's appointment or something, and my sister-in-law needed to fill her car, so I went in to get a drink, and I found mango Pepsi.
Oh dear.
That's
And-
Who mangled it?
That's terrifying.
That's what everyone says, but it's so delicious.
Mango loves Sheriff Bart.
I have an addiction, but So we do Christmas, a quiet Christmas with just the kids, us, anyone that lives in the house, my grandmother and my aunt and uncle who don't have any children. And then on New Year's Eve, we do the Christmas with my nieces and nephews.
Mm-hmm.
And I made everyone I came in contact try this. My brother claimed it was cheese Pepsi.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just wine saying things. I got a cup for my dad that said, "Hey Santa, just leave your credit card." It's very fitting. Izza stole it.
This is terrible, Harry.
What?
I'm on Vivino, and I'm cruising the Malbecs.
I haven't had the Malbec, but it may not be your favorite thing in the world, but I don't think you'll regret
Not his.
trying.
This is all Mendoza stuff.
But you won't regret trying it. That's the thing, because I can tell you, Thackeray's wine is not boring.
Is the Pleiades? Please tell me it's just not like cotton dry Chardonnay white.
No, I mean each batch of Pleiades is different.
Okay.
Which is, it's kind of like eating at a person's house or a small restaurant where the food isn't like chain food where you get the same consistent quality. If you want consistency, Charles Shaw makes a fine $2 wine.
Mm-hmm.
So each one is a little bit different, and it really does mature pretty darn quickly because of the weird, nearly Roman techniques he uses for fermentation. He does use fermentation techniques that nobody else uses anymore.
Like, what's an example of one?
Well, he uses wooden containers underneath a grove of eucalyptus trees with tarps over the top of them. He's bringing in a lot more natural stuff than the big time winemakers.
He's making like the old Malmsey recipes type stuff. Is he putting spices in his wine?
No.
Okay, so he's not making like May wine or anything like that.
No. But he's literally, if you look at his website, he'll talk about some of the Roman texts he's used for reference. He uses
and you've got that website, right? Or do I have to?
I haven't looked at it recently, so I don't have that off the top of my head.
Just what's the name? What's the guy's name?
The guy's last name is Thackeray.
No.
Thackrey.
Okay.
Yep. Sean.
I can't get it.
American winemaker.
I can't
you live
get
in
it.
another free state like Florida where they can't ship things to you.
They can't ship it to Virginia.
Can't ship it to.
Hey,
I don't drink anymore.
You have it shipped to Harry's, and then Harry ship it to you.
No,
that would be me, and I ship it to you.
Well, at least in Florida, if you were in Florida and the free state of Florida, and it was shipped from the vineyard, from the vineyard itself, right, to you, it would be acceptable. If it isn't, it has to go through a reseller in Florida, for instance. Obviously, there's probably somebody in Virginia that imports it.
The ABC is stomping on it. Yeah, I can check to see if Total Wine ever carries any of Thackeray's stuff.
But wait, why can't she ship it to one of the three of us? And
because that's illegal, Jenna.
Because there's a much greater than zero. There's a much greater than zero chance that the item will be seized and you will not get it back. And then they might come after you, but they probably won't. They'll probably just take it and throw it away.
Usually, what you do, or in the instances that I am aware of, you tell the UPS people you're shipping liquid.
Yep. And so they can't scan it. I like to put mine in a beryllium sphere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, so shipping liquor is illegal?
Myself.
Off air, Jenna. Off air.
Dampers.
Beryllium sphere.
Turn up the dampers to maximize the yield.
Yeah.
That pisses me off, though. That was a great price.
It should. I find it interesting that a lot of these states where people who live there say, well, at least I don't live in California. Well, I can buy pretty much
Okay,
any liquor I
let me
want from
explain
anywhere in the
something to you.
country.
It was one
It's true.
vote. It was one motherfucking vote.
It's not just your state, though.
It was
It's
one vote that kept
it-
us from getting rid of the ABC completely under
Good.
Governor McDonald. And it was because it's state employees that work in the liquor stores, and the Democrats won't turn on them. So they fell one vote shy and were stuck with the goddamn revenuers.
yeah, it's terrible.
It is terrible.
It is terrible. I know. I'm not. I mean,
Virginia
I
and North
actually,
Carolina are so goddamn backwards. This is not 1930, you twats.
my only point is that I know California sucks, but I
Yes,
just
it does.
think that some people don't realize how much their own states suck until they run into stuff like this. Because this kind of crony bullshit, whatever capitalism that's going on, this is why I don't fully trust Ron DeSantis, because they've got these kinds of laws there too.
Yeah, what it is it's throttled through state-controlled corporatism, basically.
Yeah, if I want to give away, I mean, I literally have many bottles of very expensive whiskey, bourbon, which I would like to give to some of my friends in states like this, but I have to get in a car and drive to them to drop it off if I want to do that, because there's no way I'm going to stick a really expensive bottle of bourbon in a box and hope that it gets there, because it will piss me off. I will become incandescently angry if the revenuers just pour it out.
Yeah.
Oh, Harry, could I have some? I have a couple teethers.
Really? Do you put it on your finger and then rub their gums?
No, that would be wrong.
Oh, because they used to do that for like when kids would teeth. Actually, you could even
What
back
I
with the
did with
old
my
time
kids-
Coca-Cola, you could just use that with the cocaine and just rub it on their gums.
Yeah.
I would just quietly pour the whiskey in their beers.
In their beers, yes.
Yeah, in their
because
beer.
That's
Yeah.
what you always make sure your kids are drinking small beer for breakfast.
Well, start the day with a Boilermaker. You'd have some pretty motivated toddlers.
Shit.
What's the boil?
Nap time can't come soon enough.
Boilermaker's a beer with a bourbon bump.
Oh,
Yeah.
when you drop it in and then you try to drink
You can
it
drop it
quickly?
in, or you can just bump it at the back end of drinking the beer. Whatever you prefer. You can shoot the bourbon and then chug the beer.
Yeah. They're really, well, I guess in some places there are rules, but
I don't
mostly just say thank you
mix
and
my
consume it.
liquors
Yeah.
like that.
Well-
I would have to drink the bourbon first, then cough for half an hour, and then drink the beer.
Well, all the liquor I know about is from Beth from Yellowstone.
Okay.
So,
Hey, this
like, I know
are
what
you-
Bluth is.
Jenna, are Mormons permitted to drink alcohol in moderation?
No.
No.
I thought that the theology behind the prohibition on alcohol and caffeine and nicotine and the like had to do with a religion-wide, is almost a cultural feeling among Mormons that's related to excessiveness,
Mhm.
and that
And it hurts your liver.
but that generally, many things like that in moderation are considered okay. For example, I have heard that in many places, a lot of Mormon families relax the prohibition on caffeine. They drink
Mhm.
coffee and they will have Coke. I know a couple here in Texas.
Well, okay, the caffeine one is completely different. Like, I have to drink tea because
Just
it
with your
flushes out
thalassemia. Yeah.
for my thalassemia. My dad has to drink coffee for his thalassemia.
So if it's medically needed, then it's
Yes,
okay.
you're absolutely allowed to.
But if it's not medically needed, then it's forbidden, or it's one of those things.
It's
It's okay, but don't do it excessively.
no, it's it's not forbidden. Okay, but like Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, Pepsi with mango, those are all fine. It's the hot drinks not being hot chocolate, but tea and coffee that are the
Hot
no.
chocolate's okay?
Yeah.
Fuck my life. Yeah, that's not understanding chemistry very well, is it?
There's a lot less
It
caffeine
was
and related things in chocolate than there is in
Yeah.
Coke.
Yeah, yeah.
Tea
There's
is
almost.
actually worse.
Well,
I
then,
don't.
than chocolate, but not coffee.
Is there is caffeine? There's no caffeine in chocolate, is there?
It's a similar. It's close enough that I'm calling it caffeine for the sake of argument.
Yeah,
but
there are some very similar. There's a whole bunch of.
This
it's
Not
similar,
one. There's not.
It's
yeah,
similar
I'm
enough
sorry.
that anybody
I'm
but
sorry.
you is probably not going to know the difference. Let's put it that way. I mean, you absolutely are correct, Skep. It is a slightly different chemical. I think technically, tea might have a slightly different chemical as well, but it's functionally caffeine.
Well,
Am I wrong about this, Skep? Or
No, we'll take it offline. It's not important enough. To
Tea.
say here.
sorry.
I know tea has something.
No, it's fine. It's no big deal.
but we can drink herbal tea.
Well, see,
Right.
the thing is that Skep
not
has the
real tea.
chemistry knowledge, and I've read all the books on tea. So between the two of us, we can probably figure this out.
But alcohol is
No,
It
it's
is
theobromine.
suggested
It is
not to
It is
drink.
theobromine. It's not caffeine. It's theobromine.
Yeah, it's a
And-
mild
and-
stimulant.
Yeah, and
Okay, I
it
lost
is a
them.
stim. No, it's actually a pretty substantial stimulant. There's not that much of it, actually. It's got 50 grams. I mean, 50 grams of dark chocolate. It has 30 times as much theobromine as it does caffeine. It does have a minor amount of caffeine. It actually has literal caffeine. I did not know that. I thought chocolate had other alkaloids that they. Cause we analyzed this stuff in school. This is analytic. I took a course in analytic chemistry. We analyzed a cup of wine and a cup of coffee, just to pull the compounds out. It shows techniques for testing the different compounds, and the algorithm for how you do that. Anyway, it's got about 10 times as much theobromine as it does caffeine.
I have a dumb question.
That's probably enough theobromine to be more stimulating than the caffeine is, actually.
Yeah, but so in the case of the caffeine and the theobromine, a lot of times the processing of the food changes the levels of these things. For instance, just tea leaves from tea camellias really don't have that much caffeine in it. It's the difference between the caffeine levels of black tea and green tea come from the oxidation.
Mm-hmm.
You take cacao beans and you do a lot of stuff to them to turn them into chocolate.
That's really complicated.
Yeah, I wonder how much
reactions.
of it. Yeah, I wonder how much of it is the processing of it versus what's naturally occurring in the bean.
Yeah. Of course, we don't. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the South American cacao bean is the big toter of the higher levels of caffeine. The dark chocolate, white chocolate, in other words, cocoa butter, doesn't have any. Milk chocolate has
white chocolate.
very, very little. Dark is where it's at.
But is it boosted by the roasting of the beans is my question, or by any oxidation of it while they dry?
Probably.
No, it's easy to
on it.
tell.
I can
actually.
drink
know
it.
how to
I
look
don't
that up.
care or eat it.
Well, making chocolate's actually a pretty complicated process. It's you have to toast it just right, but the grinding of it is extremely annoying. Because to get the extremely fine texture of fine chocolate, you have to grind it for days in a special type of grinding apparatus. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like a wet grinding type of maneuver that goes on. And it gives you that completely smooth consistency of the chocolate. You couldn't achieve this with blades. You have to actually run it through this grinding apparatus to almost like a burr grinder type of thing. And that's how they actually make the chocolate. But then heating it and cooling it, the type of chocolate and the temperature at which you basically cool it, much like when you're making glass, changes the structure of the chocolate itself. So this is why you can have like milk chocolate versus tempered chocolate, or chocolate with a mirror finish, because subtle changes in the temperature at which you cause the phase changes can change, and the rate at which they cool can change the physical properties of the chocolate substantially.
Wow.
So like if you were making tropical Hershey bars for the military, you would use a different process than you would for making one for regular distribution. And it's not because it's chemicals and weird stuff necessarily added to stabilize it. It's because of the way you induce the phase changes in the chocolate as you prepare it.
You can't send chocolate to active duty undeployed military.
They used to.
It did for years and years, Jenna.
Yeah, they had tropical Hershey bars. They had them in World War II in the Pacific Theater.
Well, I think that's a good thing because they deserved it. But now it's, you know.
Is it a no-no now?
Yeah.
The
Skittles.
Skittles? Because that's so much better.
Skittles are also a no-no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's for active duty on the front line.
Is it that they don't want them to have sugar?
Smell. Waste.
Attracts ants.
Digging up. Finding where they were hiding and digging up so they know what they're looking for.
Well, people that are on the front lines and forward observer type people, you know, use different types of rations than larger groups that are more organized.
Oh, absolutely.
So they probably have to limit stuff that they do in like LRP ration type things versus some of the other stuff.
Also, you can't leave any trash because if you leave any trash,
it's like leaving a footprint.
Mm-hmm.
But don't worry. August, whatever went great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got some new rules coming down the pike, apparently, for Marine training.
What are they going to do? Girly it up more?
Yep.
If you can't pass the regular military test for Army or Marine, then too bad. You don't get to be one.
Yeah, I saw some chatter among some former military people on Facebook about it, that they're adding another name, somebody making these recommendations to the list of people like General Milley and some others who they think
what are they going to do? Change,
deliberately trying to short sheet the bed of the United States military. Not that, far be it for me to accuse General Milley of being a treasonous cunt.
Well, luckily you're not covered by the
UCMJ.
Most of the stuff in the UCMJ is actually in Prospero knows this is mostly in criminal law. The stuff that's specific to the military, of course, is added, but mostly the UCMJ is just a compendium of how the military implements, civilian law. When you, if you steal something, if you shoplift from the commissary on a base, what you get charged with is breaking the UCMJ if you're a military member. If you're a civilian, you get charged under the state laws, you know, there.
Petty
But
theft.
as a military member, you won't be charged under state things. You will be charged federally, and you will be tried federally.
Yeah, the punishment
Plus,
tiers are quite significantly different.
you won't be able to go to that. I can't think of the name of it, but that PO store for it could be a year.
The commissary?
Thank you. No,
So
not
which is,
where you go to eat, but where you shop.
Yes.
yeah, the PX or commissary, depends on.
What
The
kind of
PX,
base it is.
the PX is like the non-grocery store part of Walmart. The commissary is like the grocery store part of Walmart.
Yep.
It's the easy way to remember it.
And then you have the mess where
You eat.
The mess is
I wouldn't leave a
that's
mess.
that's just for uniform members.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know, that's that. They also have restaurants, you know, on bases. You know, civilian restaurants. You can go to, you know, Pizza Hut or McDonald's on base frequently.
Well, more so now. But yeah, so which did you prefer, the UCMJ or Hammurabi's Code, Skep? Which did you feel more comfortable under?
Well, Hammurabi's Code had the advantage of having that instant justice. Justice was meted out at the moment of the sentence. And I always liked that, you know, none of this, you know, I need a furlough, you know, for 3 weeks to wrap up my affairs before I, no, they just cut your head off right there.
Yeah.
So Hammurabi had the advantage of simplicity, but the UCMJ has the advantage of a skillful Navy lawyer can use it to pretty much do what the fuck they want.
An adversarial system, at least.
Yeah, very definitely.
As opposed to a not so much one.
Yeah. Well, no, it is very definitely. Yeah, I mean, the criminal and civil procedures of military courts are identical, as far as I know. And I don't know for positive, but I I've sat through. I was a witness in a court martial, and got to at least watch the procedure. I've done a number of Article 32 Bravos. I think I did 3, and every junior officer's crossed to bear as a fucking 32B. XO wants to see you, that you get a 32B. You're gonna get. You got to do that on top of your other duties, by the way. Conduct this investigation. Oh, and you got to keep your shop running. You got to keep all the plates spinning.
We might talk about a submarine story from World War II on Saturday. I haven't decided yet for sure.
Which submarine story is it?
Well, if I tell you, then it won't be a surprise.
Okay.
Harry, when you sent me the what?
Nothing. I was just going to say Skep was the kid that went through all the closets in December.
Yeah.
You just
no,
know
it's
he did. That's where they hide the presents.
Yeah, it's the thing. I'm always planning ahead for the next Saturday. So,
well, the thing you sent me, I couldn't read. I should send you a screenshot of it.
Well, that's because you didn't click on it to make it be full size, to make it be actual size. If it was fitting it to the screen, it was going to be unreadable.
Hold on.
You have to click on it and then use the scroll bars.
I guess if I just keep... Nope.
What if you squint?
Yeah.
Hold your mouth like this.
Try squinting harder.
Hold your mouth like that.
Yeah.
We do twist up our mouths when we're concentrating on reading, though. It's kind of peculiar.
Besides, I don't know if I can surprise Skep on any naval submarine things. He probably already knows, but I like to give you some surprises. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the most interesting stories from World War II in the submarine warfare that took place in the Pacific was go look up and see who sunk. There is one submarine, one captain of one submarine who sunk more tonnage, more Japanese tonnage than any other American sub commander. Look that up.
You were right. You were right,
And
Prospero.
look how many ships he sunk.
Yep.
It was one. You ruined my little surprise, didn't you?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I told you.
think
He
that-
went through the closets and found
I know
the
that
gifts.
every naval officer knows this story.
Well, let's not ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm going to stop talking about that now.
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened in World War II. Everybody gets so excited about the Berlin Olympics enthusiasts all the time, and I think the Pacific Theater is a lot more interesting in many ways.
It's more complicated.
Yeah, it's like suddenly we're playing 3D chess with the subs. That it just like, and the role that the subs played in the Falklands conflict is really interesting too. There'd be totally different outcome if it hadn't been for the English subs.
The British subs, yeah. Ask the crew of the Belgrano.
The Argentinians were scared shitless that they were going to get sunk by that one British sub.
Yeah.
It's like one little sub. It'd be like if you were playing chess, if there was just like a pawn with attitude that just sort of sat there and all the bishops and rooks and things were just afraid to go near it because they didn't know where the pawn was.
It's like Rourke's Drift underwater. The nice thing about the British is that they're very cheeky like that. You know, you can scare somebody when you're under the water because they're not sure where you are and how many of you there are.
Peekaboo.
And I also don't think you were dealing with necessarily the naval brain trust with the Argentinian Navy. Not to say that they were not a better Navy than a bunch of other navies on the planet, but
the CEO of the Belgrano had been given direct orders: do not lose this ship. You take care of the ship, go lead us to victory and all that stuff, but whatever you do, do not lose the Belgrano. We only have one.
Yep.
You know, and that was a big deal to the Argentines.
Well, and that's going to play hell with your ability to do anything.
You can never win a negotiation that you're not willing to walk away from.
Yep.
That's essentially it's the same situation. If you're not willing to accept any risk at all to the ship, you are literally not a combatant at that point. Your ship may as well not be there.
Yep. Just keep it in dry dock and pet it every half hour.
Yeah, just be thankful that the British forgot to turn Exocet to foe in their IFF detection.
It's
French. It's the French. It's fine. It's fine. No.
I'm just trying to imagine somebody like Bull Halsey even thinking of giving an order like that. Whatever you do, don't lose the ship.
The difference in the naval war, though, in World War II between the Atlantic and Pacific is just as dramatic. I think, as Harry was saying, the war in the Atlantic was convoy escort, basically, and weapons escort. Occasionally, the Brits had some fun with the Germans, but they pretty much got their big battleships out of commission without much help from the U.S. By the time we were in, there wasn't that much to do other than escort convoys in the Atlantic. But boy, the Pacific was a different story entirely. It was almost interesting. It's probably the most interesting naval conflict in modern times, because it was just so sprawling. You have everything from the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the Marianas Turkey Shoot, the Battle of Coral Sea, Midway, Pearl Harbor, the Guadalcanal, Tarawa, all these places that just Tobruk. Not Tobruk, but I'm getting things. I'm getting my wars and theaters mixed up. But you know what I'm saying. What's the name of Tarawa, but what was the Canal and Okinawa? Yeah, Okinawa was just a huge shitstorm to occupy. They didn't know how to do that. They were playing this on their veins and making it up as they went along. They didn't know how to island hop. And some of those early ones, we lost a lot more people than we should have, because we were learning how to take fortified islands defended by people who would fight and who expected to die.
Ask the
who
Marines
even
at
wanted to
Tarawa
die.
what the learning curve was like, but you got the UDT out of that.
Yeah,
that was
the
so
Raiders and the
horrific.
UDT, yeah.
That was so horrific, and the loss of life was so high because of
The stories that
knowing
came
it.
out. I actually knew Dave Foreman, the CEO of UDT 21, the UDT 21 team, and he was my company commander at OCS. I'm really not kidding. He was a very famous guy in the Navy, and he would tell us about stuff that the UDTs did in World War II. It just was absolutely some of the scariest things you've ever heard in your life. Things that were just unbelievable, and they happened because lines really got cut, bombs really got laid, sentries really got their throats cut. It was just an astonishing time, and some amazing things. And when you say, the UDTs came out, that's right, the underwater demolition teams. The UDT. So they just work underwater, blowing things up. No, that's not what they do.
No,
That's just the name of the unit.
Yeah, but one guy or a group of guys could actually make a difference.
Yes.
So, somebody like Doolittle could just say, I think we need to send a message, even if it's just symbolic.
Yeah.
We need to do this.
Reach
How
out
are we
and
going to
touch
do
someone.
that? Well,
Yes.
what if we just
we'll risk our lives?
What if we just took some bombers, heavy bombers, and stuck them on these carriers? Do you think we could take off without all dying?
Right.
We don't have enough fuel. We'll just ditch. We'll just ditch.
We'll ditch on the far side of our mission.
No,
That's
you know what? You know what the plan was? Do you know what the plan was? Try and make it to China.
Yes.
And some of them did, and they survived there.
Yep.
Well, some of the ones who ditched survived too.
Japan.
Well, then from China, they worked their way back to our territory.
Yeah, but they all the while, some of them were hidden by the Chinese people. And these were people, if a family was caught hiding an American, they would have just all been shot. They'd just be shot right there.
Well, they weren't favorably disposed to the Japanese, so yeah.
Well,
they quite the contrary. They hated the Japanese.
They had a reason.
Nanking was a thing.
Yeah, Nanking was a thing, and the experiments that were being done on the Chinese was a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, but remember, we all have to be told that the emperor really wasn't the bad guy. Tojo was. The emperor was humping himself over those experiments. That was his bailiwick.
But do you see how well dressed he was?
Science.
He looks like a gentleman, doesn't he?
Oh yes,
with his little top hat,
motherfucker should have been hung, but I know why he wasn't. I know why MacArthur did what he did. It was probably the correct thing to do because it kept a festering resentment from being created, and he forced somebody who claimed he was God to tell all his people that he wasn't God, which was good because that was a mindset that needed to be addressed with the Japanese people. But still, Hirohito should have been hung.
We just shouldn't have sent them Deming to help them rebuild their country.
Yeah.
Because I guess I do like having really good electronics, though.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't it Deming they sent there?
Yeah, the Deming motor method. Yep.
Yeah.
It was Deming, and and the occupation helped put them back together. It's interesting that what happened after the war is in many ways as important as what happened during it.
Yeah. TQM or total quality management is not the dumbest thing I've ever run into. I've run into a lot of really dumb things, and stuff that Deming put together is pretty well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like a Deming fanboy or anything, but compared to sitting through ISO 9000, oh God, just kill me. Ugh. TQM is good. The thing about total quality management is a lot of people in modern times aren't really comfortable with the idea of giving people on the front line the ability to actually make customers happy and solve their problems.
Yeah, isn't that a shame?
It'd be much better if we just tell them, oh, we're so sorry, our policy doesn't allow for that.
As if this is some kind of salve. I heard a
We won't be
story.
competitive.
Sorry.
I heard a story out of our neighborhood this past week regarding FedEx. Now, we've had no problem at all with anything coming FedEx being delivered. But this particular individual didn't get a package, and it had X particular reason, no apartment number or whatever. Well, there isn't such a thing. She lives at an independent house address. Well, then they changed it to some other reason it couldn't be delivered. Then the next day, they didn't deliver it again, claiming the customer was not home. Well, they were home and there was no need to sign to begin with on the package. And then they changed it to some other reason. So finally, watching all this tracking, she called them, and the response she got was the driver was probably too lazy to deliver it.
Lovely.
I've experienced the joy of FedEx customer service. In fact, professionally, I ran into that many years ago when I was trying to ship some software out for beta testing periodically as part of a contract I had. And the FedEx guys just outright lied. They just lied about stuff. And it's like, I have a contract I'm trying to honor, and you're lying, and it's making my life difficult. Like claiming that we didn't drop off the package at the station and within the time required to do the delivery on time. Mm-hmm. So they lied about when we dropped off the package. It's like, well, too bad we actually have a record of it.
Yeah, I've got a little timestamp here, you dickhead.
So they will lie about stuff, but I actually ordered some treats that I was basically giving to people they were basically gifts I was giving to people who helped me professionally. Okay. So I bought a bunch of these things. They were supposed to be delivered on Friday before Christmas. It was perishables from Cake Monkey Bakery down in LA. Great stuff. And it did not show up on Friday, did not show up on Saturday, even though it was FedEx home delivery, could have shown up on Saturday. Did not show up on Monday, did not show up on Tuesday. My perishables from Cake Monkey that only had to go from LA to Silicon Valley did not get delivered until Wednesday.
Fuck those people.
Yeah. So Christmas was well and thoroughly over at that point. Some of it was not super stale, but a lot of it was not nearly as good as it should have been.
So have you put in for reparations?
Yeah, I'm going to put in for reparations. I'm asking for 40 acres and a mule, I think it's. No.
I remember when Walter Williams said how much happier we all would be if we had been given 40 acres and a mule instead of Social Security.
Mm.
Yeah. And he said at least you'd have real estate.
Give me 5/3 of a vote for 50 years. I don't know.
Yeah, 5/3 of a vote. I mean, I like that.
The Social Security Administration provides me with a helpful reminder of what a sap I have been and how much money I have handed them over the years. Yeah. It's most of $1 million.
Yeah, well, but the thing is you really didn't have a hell of a lot of choice now, did you?
I should have stayed in Belgium.
Well,
I'm content with my lot.
At the tender age you were.
Could have learned more about chocolate.
And being a minor child at the time, you had.
I was 10. I was 10. That's old enough to be out on my own.
No, it was not.
Emancipated.
No.
Do you know what my dad did?
Emancipate you.
Do you know what my dad did when I was about 9 years old? True story. He said, I said, it was a Saturday morning. I was moping around. I'm bored, dude. Stopped raining. It's wet outside. Why don't you go out and ride your bike? He said, why don't you go take the tram into Brussels? I heard my mother say, Joe, don't die. Anyway, my dad ended up giving me 100 francs and said, go go get on the tram and see if you can find your way back. If you get in trouble, find somebody and have them call us. I rode the tram, found the old pension where we had been, had plenty to get back on. I parked my bike at the tram station. This is 1962, I think, and the summer of 1962, and I ended up at my little friend's house, and the Campbell's house. His father was the assistant consul general for Canada, and a very important guy. And this little guy and I were friends, and I knew roughly where he lived, and I found his house in fine Saturday afternoon. Walked in there, and I knocked on the door, and Mrs. Campbell saw, "Oh, Franklin, where's your mother?" Mother's not here. What? You running away from home? And so all of a sudden, my adventure came to an end.
I was going to say she probably plotzed when you showed up on the front door without a parent.
It turns out my parents had been arguing about this. There's substantially more to the story than all this. But anyway, make a long story short, mother showed up in the car, pissed off, ready to flame me, and she was especially mad that I said we have to go back by the station and pick up my bike, and I had to ride my bike home behind her in the dark. By the time we got back,
your dad's the one that gave you the money and told you to go into Brussels.
I know, yeah.
But she took it out on you, yes, because it
was big fun.
Frank's was he expecting you to go become a man? I mean, seriously, that's like real money.
Yeah.
No, he just.
Fortunately, the pension wasn't near the red light district.
He was at the point of giving up on me. At that point, he had decided that I was, because I was kind of a loser. I was kind of a mopey kid. And,
you were 9.
I was 9. I should have been more mature. I should have been. I couldn't even.
If you had promised, you would have shown some by now.
Exactly. You're gonna, if a kid's gonna do anything.
Yeah, late bloomers. That's for the weak.
Honest to God, that is like just what. Talk about profoundly not understanding children.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I was there first. They
the learning curve was steep, was it?
They did. Both my parents are very smart people, but neither one is an intuitive parent. Neither one. Listen, let me tell you, my life is little Skep. Little Skep was going from father to father looking for a dad. I was always looking for a dad because my dad was never at home. My dad was always on the road. My dad was, doing important things.
Sorry you never lived in Hingham. You'd have found one.
And
your dad?
Oh yeah, my dad would have scooped him right up.
Yeah. Anyway,
and put the fear of God in you in another direction.
You got to remember, we also moved every 4 years, 3-4 years. And so, that was, you took all your friends and said goodbye. And that was that.
If only your dad had gone to work for General Dynamics, you could have ended up, in my neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like
guy across the street was a General Dynamics dude.
It's like changing cubicles. If you want to get people to change their cubicles, just move them around every now and then. So at least you didn't accumulate a bunch of crap, Skep. You were always, it's like, oh, we have to move to another continent. Well, I'm basically ready if you've already thrown everything away. Last move.
By the way, that's an interesting thing. Harry, you have worked in cube farms and been assigned a cube, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When it's and probably sometimes that's been in a permanent or semi-permanent position. What is your philosophy on decorating your cubicle with personal mementos and things from home?
I don't know. Let me see if I can find a picture quickly. Give me a moment.
Because different people have different philosophies about that. Some people make their cubes their own. They have pictures of their dog, pictures of their family. That time they won the big softball tournament, and they'll even have trophies and stuff in their things to remind them of the good life That's why they're here at this soul-eating job. So they can get the money. But I was just curious as to what your philosophy was.
No, my philosophy is you should make it. You should definitely make it your own. I think it shows a certain amount of esprit de corps as much as anything else.
Are you about to share something?
Well, I'm trying to. I just wasn't expecting it, so I'm trying to find a picture of something I did. Give me a moment here.
I will embiggen you in the.
Let's see. It's in personal photos. Let's see if I can find this.
Yeah, the dreaded personal photo. It's that great random.
I'll be right back.
Randomly filed database.
Yeah.
With no keys. No keys, nothing. Nothing works. Nothing will help.
I apologize for the low quality of this image.
Don't. You have nothing to apologize for.
You're good.
But this was this was a cube that I had at one point. Around the top edge of the cube, this was a double cube. So there was basically a door on one wall, and then I was on one side, and there was another guy, Dave, who was on the other side. Great guy. And we put a little bridge over the door, and we ran a train set, HO gauge, all the way around the top of the cube for Christmas time, and put the lights up. And there's Mr. Peabody riding on top of the boxcar.
I was just going to ask, is that Peabody of Peabody
yeah, it's
and
Mr. Peabody.
Very good.
This
is my boy, Sherman.
Why wouldn't you? Let me see.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, here's another picture. The train right along the top of the cubicle with the Christmas lights. And I did have
standard gauge or HO?
HO.
Oh, that is HO. Okay.
It would be way too wide with O gauge or something.
Yeah, I was going to say if it was the big.
And N gauge is for
idiots,
people with weak handshakes and
yes,
low moral character. So
you're not wrong.
So the guy who's like the big head honcho, I don't want to dox myself.
Yep.
So let's just say that the head honcho. There were some people that gave me a little bit of grief saying it was unprofessional. I shouldn't do that. And the head honcho guy actually came by, looked at it, and said, "This is fantastic. We need more of this."
Yeah.
To see that somebody actually, has a little bit of spirit and a little bit of creativity around here. This is fantastic. And that shut up those middle managers so quickly.
It shut them up, but it made them resent you.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened to
the big boss basically came by and complimented me on my fact that I was showing some amount of spirit.
Here he got political cover for his train habit.
Yeah. It was fun. So this is how I feel about decorating cubes. Because
I'd say you're for it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit for it. I also once bought 10 cases of tea Java, the tea that's sort of unadulterated, the little 4 glass bottles per thing, and it's four packs per case. I had 10 cases of it, and I made a pyramid of it in my cube. Some people would drink Jolt Cola when they were doing programming and stuff. I had the tea Java pyramid, and so some people would euphemistically call me the tea Java king. So I always had something going on.
The tea Java king.
But I went from there into an office, and then in the office, I had like the life-size cutouts of Commander Data and just all sorts of stuff in my office. It was fun. So yeah, I think being a soulless drone is a bad idea, and I don't think it's good for the business either.
No, I agree. I used to always put up like images, and I would have sayings from like one of my favorite ones was when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro, which is from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Here's an image with a saying, Skep.
Prospero's back.
Yeah. One
Yes.
good sneeze and the girls.
Let me
She'll put an eye out.
let me
Yeah.
ask you. Let me ask you. Did she buy that at the Gap?
Yeah. Good God. honey,
Dad
buy-
joke.
Buy
Yep.
a larger size for the love of God.
Or get a couple of straight pins.
No, not even that, because one of those lets go and you puncture one of those bitches, she'll blow around the whole party like a balloon.
Yeah. But she seems fun.
Doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
I can hear
something-
Walter Matthau saying, "Don't let them out. Don't let them out." In a New Leaf.
That's got a face that says, "I get pregnant easy."
It reminds me of what I think it was Woody Allen's stand-up comic. It's sort of like two pit bulls in a burlap sack.
Yeah. That's a pretty good description.
Getting to know each other.
Holy hell.
Oh, we did it. We made it the distance. I mean,
Yeah, I can't believe we went 2 hours and 10 minutes tonight. Oh, this has been
Oh,
so
wow.
fun. Just enjoy getting together with you guys so much. I truly do enjoy this, and thank chat for coming out and listening to us, and thank my panel for being a part of this. Everybody have a happy New Year. We didn't get to New Year's resolutions tonight, but that's okay.
I don't make
That's
them.
the nature of the long form conversation.
Mine is
But I
staying.
want to thank everybody for being here with me tonight, and thank you all for coming along for the ride. But that's going to end for us.